Taoyuan Township is known as the back garden of Kaohsiung County. Local inhabitants are mostly members from the Bunong peoples. The innocence of the residents and the beautiful scenery make the place seem like paradise on earth. However, the Zhengwen River cross-border channeling project has changed the face of the township. Excavation of the Yushan mountain range dry up the natural hot springs in the local area. But that is only one of the many damaging side effects caused by the construction. We follow Bulong villager Tamajang to find out more. Today, a seeding festival is taking place in Taoyuan Township. Bunong children are dancing and singing joyously, while a group of teenagers are participating in a coming-of-age ceremony, which includes a tooth-pulling ritual to mark their coming of puberty.
Okay.
Taoyuan Township is famous for its beautiful scenery and unique natural habitats. Almost 50 years old, Tamajang is a member of the Bunong peoples in Taoyuan Township. We follow him to see his hometown, where in his memory this place had always been a natural hot springs area. However, in front of our eyes, there's nothing but bleakness.
It's a shame. There used to be a lot of water, enough to fill up these two pools. Some villagers used to come and take a hot spring bath every day, but there's no water.
Having lived in the township for his whole life, Tama can only reminisce with his grandson about the natural resources he was once able to enjoy. He can't help but wonder, it was only a few months ago when the Saonian River hot spring still flowed in abundance. How did it suddenly dried up? In fact, when the mountain range was being excavated for the Zhengwen River cross-border channeling project, the hot springs burst out from all directions, causing the Saonian River to instantly dry up. According to the experts, the construction extracts over 1,000 tons of hot spring water every day. Two tourists from Tainan City travel over an hour just to come here and enjoy the hot springs.
We've got a few days off and thought we'd come to the hot spring, only to find that there's no water left.
It was a natural hot spring and we didn't need to add cold water to it. I'm really disappointed today to see an empty pool.
As an educated and a local resident, Izdana Biyav knows exactly what damage the construction is doing to the natural habitat.
Lao Nong River and Nanzhishan River extend to the southern region of Taiwan, forming the existing plains. Breaking off the arms and legs of Lao Nong River has not only affected the upstream region, but has also severely damaged the lives of residents in the downstream area.
The construction of channeling Nanzhishan River to Nanhua Reservoir a few years ago has caused part of the river to dry up, leaving downstream residents with no water. Despite such brutal experience lying before us, people still don't seem to want to learn from their mistakes.
From May to November, Lao Nong River is in the typhoon season, with all the landslides moving. We are very worried that once the dam is built, it will just be covered with debris from landslides, rendering the channel useless.
Since 2001, Zhengwen Reservoir has been full every year, sometimes even needing to discharge flood water. During a drought, there will be no water from Lao Nong River to channel anyway. So is it really worth damaging the mountain range to construct a channel that may very well be of no use at all? Ecologists want to establish a wetland corridor to protect migratory birds. The protected sites are needed for migrating birds to rest and eat before continuing their journey. A new initiative led by Conservation International plans to protecting coastal wetlands in the northwest Mexico to ensure that the birds will always have an open pathway.
Mexico is part of a key migratory route for millions of birds. Now the Conservation International is working with government agencies to establish a corridor from the southern part of the state of Sonora along the Gulf of California. Mauricio Cervantes, the director of Conservation International's Northwest Mexico office, says it is important that these wetlands are preserved, as migratory aquatic birds need to stop periodically along their routes to eat and rest.
The migrating birds require sites at least every 100 kilometers, so that in each of their migratory stages, they have the necessary elements for feeding and resting.
In 2005, the National Environmental Ministry formed a committee dedicated to important wetlands. looking at local, domestic, and international wetlands policy, and keeping an eye on the management of related ecosystems like forests and rivers. Margrito, a member of the Yaqui people who live in the Punta Lobos, says local people enjoy living with the birds.
We don't bother them, we just watch them like this flying. It's really nice to hear all kinds of sounds they make.
Cesar Sanchez of Mexico's Commission for Natural Protected Areas emphasizes on the conservation also as an economic imperative because of the wetlands' role as fish breeding grounds.
Let's remember that wetlands are pumps of coastal productivity, and in the states that I mentioned to you, fishing is a fundamental activity for the region's economic activities.
3 of the most important sites in the proposed corridor are the Estero de Soldado in Guaymas, and Marimas Nacionales and Marimas La Cabras to the south. Punta Lobo, where the Yaqui lives, is an area that Conservation International also hopes to include in the project.